one knew her real name inside those walls. They gave her a different one, and with that name, she would shake two empires. She didn't arrive with an army. She didn't arrive with gold. She arrived in chains. A girl from Venice. Taken, sold, forgotten. Or so they thought. Because the moment she entered those palace walls, something shifted. Not in the palace, in her. She looked at those walls and didn't see a prison. She saw a chessboard, and she already knew how to play. No one taught her the rules. She learned them by watching, by listening, by saying nothing when silence was worth more than words. The prince noticed her first. That was never supposed to matter. Princes noticed many women. They moved on. They forgot. But she made sure he didn't forget. Not with beauty alone, with something far more dangerous. She made herself necessary. Every conversation, every silence, every moment he needed someone. She was already there, before he even knew he needed her. And slowly, without anyone realizing how, she became the only one he wanted near him. That was her first move. It wouldn't be her last. But the palace had its own rules and its own dangers. There was another woman who had watched all of this. Older, more experienced. She had survived 3 power shifts inside these walls. She knew exactly what was happening, and she knew that a Venetian girl with no family, no allies, no history, was the most dangerous kind of threat, because she had nothing to lose, and women with nothing to lose were capable of everything. The whispers started quietly. They always did. But whispers in the Ottoman court never stayed quiet for long. They grew, they twisted, and by the time they reached the right ears, they had already become something else entirely. Then came the moment no one expected. The prince became the sultan, and everything changed overnight. Suddenly the woman he had chosen was no longer just a favorite. She was the mother of the heir. She held the future of the empire in her hands, and she knew it. Every advisor, every vizier, every ambassador, they all had to pass through her now, whether they wanted to or not. Those who tried to go around her quickly learned that there was no way around her. But she wasn't finished, not even close, because across the sea, in a palace very different from this one, another powerful woman was watching. Queen Elizabeth of England. 2 women, 2 empires, 2 thrones, and between them, a silence that needed to be broken. What happened next had never happened before in Ottoman history. A slave woman, a foreigner with no royal blood, began writing letters to a queen, not as a servant, as an equal. The court didn't know what to make of it. Ambassadors were confused. Historians would later struggle to explain it. But she didn't need anyone to understand it. She only needed it to work. The letters crossed seas. They carried silk. They carried jewels. But more than anything, they carried power. Because what Safiye Sultan understood, that no one around her did, was that empires weren't just built with swords. They were built with words, with trust, with the kind of bond that no one could see, but everyone could feel, Elizabeth wrote back. And with that exchange, trade routes opened, alliances shifted, history turned, all because of a woman who was never supposed to matter. She rose higher than anyone had ever risen from where she started. Valide Sultan, mother of the empire, the most powerful position a woman could hold, and she held it, the way she had held everything else, quietly, completely, dangerously, for years. The empire moved at her pace. Decisions waited for her approval. Wars were considered with her counsel. Even those who hated her needed her. But power in the Ottoman palace never lasted forever. The same walls that lifted her would one day turn against her. And when they did, it happened the way it always happened in that palace. Suddenly, without warning, in the middle of the night. What they took from her that night was everything she had built. But what they couldn't take was what she had already changed: 2 empires, 1 woman, and a story that history almost forgot to tell. Almost,